Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will talk about variables in JavaScript. If you missed out my last video, I really recommend you to watch it. It was about data types, which is a very important knowledge to gain if you are starting your journey with JavaScript language. But now let's talk about variables. We have three different variables in JavaScript: var, let, and const. Before we move on to the differences between them, let's talk about variables in general. Variable is a container for storing data. Variable names should be unique. The names are called identifiers. There are some general rules to construct them. Names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and $sign. Can't start with digits and are case sensitive. We have three often used case styles in JavaScript language how we can name variables. This is camel case, Pascal case, and snake case. It's a good practice to give variables a descriptive names. So let's say we want to assign a variable cat's name. And we choose to use camel case in this example. So it's gonna look like that. Let's talk about scopes. What is scope? Scope determines the visibility of a variable. There are global and local scopes, and local scope is divided into function and block scope. There is only one global scope in JS document. It's an area outside of all the functions. Global scope can be accessed from any other scope. Variable var. This is the only variable which is stored in global scope. Is also function scoped, is not block scoped as other two variables, and can be reassigned, can be redeclared, and is hoisted. Okay, let's explain this, guys. So we have variable cat name, and this is variable with keyword var. The value is Garfield, and this is stored in global scope. What's that mean? In HTML, global scope is the window object, and only variable with keyword var belongs to the window object when it's declared globally. This one is declared globally, so it belongs to the window object, which means that we can use it with window object like that. Okay, but now we will not use it, so let's comment that out and move on to the function. Function scope means that if we declare a variable inside of a function, we have access to it only inside of this function. We can't access it globally or from another function. So let's say we have function. And we have this variable inside that function. And we can only access it here. So let's say we want to console it. That should work, but we have to run that function. So the result is Garfield. But if we want to console that log outside of this function, it won't work. The result is undefined error. Okay, move on to the block scope. Block scope is anything inside of curly braces. It can be if statement or for loop. Okay, so let's use this existing function. Move it here. And let's say we have if statement here. If 1 or let's say 2 is greater than 1, then declare variable here. So if that variable is not block scoped, means that we have access to this variable out of this block, inside of this function. So we can console it even here. Okay, so try it. The result is garbage. Var variable is also reassignable, which means that we can change value. So let's move this to global scope. Okay, here. And we have that variable. Let's comment that out. Variable cat name. So if we reassign value, we do this like that. We do not have var before it anymore. So let's say it will be normal this time. And try to console it log. And run it. Yeah, the result is normal. The var is also redeclarable, which means that we can declare it again, like var cat name equals, well, normal2, and save it, move it here, yeah, the result is normal2. So that basically means that we have a new variable cat name. We don't have that variable anymore. So this is kind of risky. That's why we don't recommend to use var variables at all. Var is also hoisted. It means that the declaration of variable is moved to the top of its scope with undefined value. So let's say we have new variable a equals 2, and now we can use it before we declare it. So console dialog a, but you have to remember that it has undefined value. Save it, well, comment that out too, we don't need it anymore. Okay, now we can run. Yeah, the result is undefined, but we didn't get an error. So you have to remember that this is a good practice to always declare variables at the top of its scope. Variable let is function scoped, block scoped, can be reassigned, can't be redeclared, can't be hoisted. Variable const is function scoped, is block scoped, can't be reassigned, can't be redeclared, can't be hoisted. And a quick summary. We have 3 variables, var, let, and const. I don't really recommend you using var variable. Only do this when you are like 100% sure what you're doing. Always use let over var and const over let. Variable let and const differ in only one property, which is reassignable. So always use let when you have to reassign your variable. When you don't have to do this, or you want to just change one part of your object data, for example, in arrays or in objects, then use const. That was all for today, guys. If you have any suggestions for the next video, let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.